JDM don't wrestle, but he was defending well, and he puts damage on you.
Off rip.
Starts putting damage on you, and he can box.
So how do you see that fight with him and Islam? Does he have the ability to beat a guy like Islam?
He'll get takedown attempts coming at him very early. This time. The last fight, he didn't have to deal with that when he was fresh. If Islam can start to pressure him early and take him down early, or even just make him wrestle, he might struggle. I don't know that he's ever felt anything like he's going to feel, because it's not going to be double legs and single legs with Islam. It's going to be him playing with his feet, tripping him, moving around on the octagon side, doing things that he don't recognize as freely.
But you didn't answer the question.
The problem is, like, I can only give you that because I can't truly make a prediction. The job does know.
Твой бой против Maddelena за титул в полусреднем весе. И расскажи, как проходит твоя подготовка и видишь ли ты опасность в нем?
Подготовка проходит хорошо, только начали. Как раз только говорил, что на сборах были 3 недели, приехали. Опасность, конечно, если человек чемпион на какой-то вес, особенно у нас в организации, там таких проходных не бывает. Так что подхожу с максимальной ответственностью к этому бою и думаю, буду.
The UFC has set the stage for a blockbuster matchup: Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena. The announcement immediately sent shockwaves through the MMA community, with fans and analysts eager to see how the lightweight champion matches up against one of the sport's fastest rising contenders. Makhachev, widely regarded as one of the most dominant fighters in the world, brings a grappling-heavy style that has smothered elite opponents and kept him firmly at the top. On the other side, Jack Della Maddalena has quickly built a reputation as one of the UFC's sharpest boxers, combining slick head movement with knockout power that has finished fight after fight in highlight reel fashion. It's a stylistic clash that has everyone talking. Can Islam impose his trademark control and grind out another win? Or will the Australian striker land the shot that changes everything? UFC legends have already started weighing in, and their predictions are sparking even more debate across the fight world. Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena is the fight that has had the MMA world buzzing long before it was even made official. On one side stands Makhachev, a dominant champion whose suffocating grappling and grinding style have dismantled elite competition and cemented him as one of the most feared athletes in the sport. On the other is Jack Della Maddalena, the fast-rising Australian contender who has stormed through the welterweight ranks with crisp, technical boxing and serious knockout power. It's the kind of stylistic clash that gets fans and analysts talking. Will Islam's relentless pressure and championship experience be too much for the young contender to handle? Or will Jack's striking arsenal prove to be the weapon that shocks the division and rewrites the story? With experts, fighters, and legends weighing in, all eyes are on this collision between proven dominance and a dangerous new challenger.
Islam and JDM are fighting in November. Who do you see taking the title there?
That's a tough one. You know, I think JDM's boxing is next level. I don't think Islam has faced anybody that has that sort of skill set.
Dan Hardy views this matchup as arriving at the perfect time for Islam Makhachev. While Hardy has long praised Jack Della Maddalena's crisp, technical boxing, even going as far as to call him one of the best pure strikers in all of MMA, he believes this fight is less about risk and more about natural progression for the champion. After years of enduring the grind of cutting down to lightweight, Hardy argues that Makhachev's body has simply outgrown the division. In his view, stepping up to welterweight isn't just a move of necessity, but one that will unlock an even more dangerous version of the Dagestani fighter. By shedding the toll of drastic weight cuts and competing closer to his natural size, Hardy predicts that Islam's trademark pressure, strength, and suffocating control will translate seamlessly, making him an even greater threat in the higher division. Hardy even went a step further, comparing Islam Makhachev's move to welterweight with Terence Crawford stepping up to challenge Canelo Alvarez in boxing. When the body is ready, the transition can often feel seamless. For Hardy, Makhachev is entering that stage of his career where the cut to lightweight is no longer sustainable, and moving up will allow his skills to flourish without the physical strain. He sees Islam's all-around game as a nightmare puzzle for anyone at 170 pounds. While acknowledging Jack Della Maddalena's sharp hands and crisp boxing, Hardy points out that striking is more than just punches. Islam's use of kicks, feints, and constant pressure combined with his relentless grappling completely shifts the equation. In his eyes, JDM may be able to hold his own early, landing clean shots and showing resilience. But once the fight stretches into the deep waters of the championship rounds, Makhachev's suffocating pace and top control will begin to break the Australian down. Hardy predicts the end will likely come by submission, with Islam imposing his will in classic fashion.
He's moving up to 170. He's going to be fighting JDM for that title. Do you think he gets the job done, or how do you see the fight playing out?
Man, I've been high on JDM for a long time. You know, I remember doing interviews back when Ngannou was crossing over to boxing, and people were talking about who's got the best hands in MMA, and I was saying JDM at the time. I mean, his boxing's always impressed me. But at this point, I feel like Islam's moving up a weight class at the right time. You know, there are a lot of fighters that stay in a weight class for too long, and they seem to kind of stifle their physical growth. I don't think Islam can stay healthy and stay in that lightweight division for any longer. And I think right now he's allowed himself to move into a division where his body's just going to grow into it. He's going to be incredibly powerful. You know, I've been having a similar kind of conversation in my head with Crawford coming up against Canelo as well. You know what I mean? Like, what's Crawford going to look like going up a weight? And I think his body's ready to do it, same as Islam. And I just think Islam's all-round game is so problematic for any single fighter. I see him taking it, and I can see him probably a 50-50 striking exchange, Makhachev winning with a kicking advantage, but then he's grappling and his wrestling taking over, probably winning by sub in the championship.
For Kamaru Usman, this matchup represents the biggest fight the welterweight division can deliver right now. No question about it. Usman recognizes the magnitude of the stakes on both sides of the octagon. If Jack Della Maddalena can overcome Islam Makhachev and then go on to defend his belt, it would cement him as the face of the new generation, a fighter capable of carrying the torch for years to come. On the other hand, if Makhachev rises to the occasion and captures welterweight gold, it sets the stage for a pound-for-pound showdown that could define both men's legacies and elevate Islam into rarefied territory. Usman, a former champion who has already proven himself at the very top of the sport, made it clear he feels no pressure tied to this outcome. His own resume speaks for itself. For him, this fight is pure excitement, the exact type of high-stakes, high-drama matchup that fans crave and the sport thrives on.
It's moving, but let's look. If we're still in this, we want to make the biggest fight in the division, there is no question. You look up and down that division, there's no question. You want to make the big, especially, and a lot of things go into play here, especially if JDM defends and wins defends that title against Islam, who better than to say, okay, let's solidify him as the new generation of champion by taking on the biggest name, the former pound for pound in the division. Of course, me. And listen, and then of course, if Islam wins, pound for pound versus pound for pound fighting, I mean, I'm not really worried here. You know, I've done my job to let them know, because they wanted to see, hey, are you still that guy? Can you still hang with these guys? Can you still do your thing? And I've done that. I went in and I've showed them that, so I'm not worried. I love this fight. I think
John Paul admitted that calling this fight is no easy task, but ultimately he leans slightly toward Jack Della Maddalena. In his breakdown, Paul pointed out that Makhachev has yet to face a striker with the level of pure boxing ability that Jack brings to the cage, and with every fight beginning on the feet, that dynamic naturally gives the Australian an early advantage. Still, Lebnani was quick to acknowledge that Islam's world-class grappling remains a massive factor that could swing the fight at any moment. What tips the balance for him, however, is JDM's striking threat paired with the preparation and adaptability he's shown in handling different scenarios. For Paul, that combination makes this one of the closest, most compelling matchups possible. The kind of fight that has fans and analysts genuinely excited to see how it all unfolds.
Islam and JDM are fighting in November. Who do you see taking the title there?
That's a tough one. You know, I think JDM's boxing is next level. I don't think Islam has faced anybody that has that sort of skill set. You know, and on the other side of the coin, Islam obviously has the best grappling in the world. So I think it's going to be a very close fight in terms of like stylistically, but I'm going to give JDM the advantage because the fight starts on the feet, you know, and that's where he's the most dangerous. And you got to think that he's preparing for everything. So The way that I look at it, fight starts on the feet. He's got the advantage there, so I'm excited.
Chael Sonnen has been vocal about this matchup, and he's made it clear he believes it's far more than a simple change of weight class. He's warned that this fight poses real risk for Islam. Shifting to welterweight isn't just about stepping into a new division, but possibly redefining where his career could go from here. Sonnen points out that if Islam loses to JDM, the path forward becomes complicated. Return to lightweight isn't guaranteed, especially with a new champion in place. And at welterweight, everything starts fresh. Rankings, perceptions, and legacy stakes. Despite that, Sonnen doesn't dismiss Islam's capabilities. He acknowledges Islam currently holds a lofty position. Top pound for pound, champion instincts, dominant grappling. But he argues JDM is no easy opponent. Bigger, sharp in the striking game, well prepared. Sonnen has said that JDM could throw a wrench into all sorts of plans against Islam. What's more, Sonnen has been critical of Islam's decision to leave the lightweight title and lightweight division, partly in response to speculation about fights like Ilia Topuria. He has accused Islam of avoiding certain matchups and suggested that the move up to 170 might be driven by strategy, good or bad, rather than purely seeking competitive growth. In short, Sonnen sees this as a high-stakes gamble for Islam, one that could either elevate him further or expose vulnerabilities, especially in stand-up striking. For Sonnen, JDM at 170 pounds brings tools that make this one of the toughest tests Islam has faced.
If Islam Makhachev loses to Jack, does he drop back down to 55 and challenge for the championship, or does he walk away forever? Whoa, I had not considered that. And I know you would love to have a conversation about, oh yeah, but Islam versus Ilia, they got to get that sorted out. That's in your mind. Islam did his job. Beat anybody in the world around you at the time. Your job's not to go beat a guy that came along after you. Let's just not. Lot to get to on today's episode. I had a 30-year high school class reunion. I'm going to tell you about that. I'm going to tell you my thoughts on Islam versus Della Maddalena, which we're told by Khabib is going down in November at the Garden. But I'm also going to implore you from the bottom of my heart, Conor McGregor, please stop shadowboxing. For all of that and more, just click on one of those.
Javier Mendez has made it clear he holds Islam Makhachev in the highest regard. Not just for what he's already achieved, but for how he's constantly evolving. Mendez insists that Islam's striking is deeply underrated, especially by those who frame him only as a grappler. He warns Jack Della Maddalena not to underestimate what Islam brings when the punches are flying. By no means is Islam an easy fight for anybody. It's a whole different ballgame, Mendez has said. Though Mendez acknowledges JDM's talents and danger, the arsenal, the power, the variation in striking, hands, kicks, knees, he emphasizes that Islam has shown over 11 years of watching him how he can not only survive striking exchanges, but dominate them. He believes Islam can neutralize JDM's power if the fight plays out, especially if Islam can make it gritty, mixing his striking with pressure and leveraging moments to shift the fight to grappling. The warning to JDM is twofold. First, don't assume Islam is simple striking material. He's fought skilled strikers before and has sharpened his own stand-up more than many give him credit for. Second, Mendez suggests that the longer the fight stands and the more rounds that accumulate, Islam's conditioning, pressure, grappling, and ability to weather the storm will make the difference. He treats JDM with respect, but as someone who must be outworked, out-scrutinized, not just outstruck.
Islam still, that fight's not even close to being done right now. But if that one was to turn around right now, I know he doesn't want to fight down. If you guys are ready to go, Islam just takes anything that comes pretty much, right?
Yep, pretty much. We're not going to say no. Whatever the UFC offers works out. They work it out with Ali, the great one, and then that's it. That's what we're doing.
Sorry.
He's gonna say, brother, I'm fighting this day. Okay, who is my opponent? Okay, no problem. They switched the opponent. Okay, it doesn't matter. You know, but the last time, Kano was the guy. Could have been any. It could have been no matter who. It would have been fine. Whatever. Islam said, make 155, brother. Put him in there. No problem. And that's the same attitude. It hasn't changed. He had that attitude. I've had that attitude with all the guys. And I don't want to ever change, because a champion should always be in that position that wherever they put in front of them should take it.
What would your reaction be if Justin Gaethje was the next guy to take you guys on and fight Islam Makhachev?
Fantastic. Then it's Justin Gaethje. So then we'll focus on Justin Gaethje. That would be ideally for us the perfect matchup, based on the fact where his standing is and what he's done. So, and he's a big known guy. So, and Islam hasn't fought him, so he's perfect.
JDM did an interview I think this week, and he broke down that he believes Islam's stand-up is a little bit easier to deal with than Bilal's, because Islam has more of a traditional style for his stand-up. Do you feel like people are kind of missing some of the X factors that Islam brings with his striking?
If he's saying that, I hope that he goes in believing that, because when he gets in there with Islam, you're going to find out a whole different story, because I'm sorry, they're completely different. And by no means is Islam an easy for anybody to understand. Any MMA fighter that's a striker, that's not going to have an easy time with him. I've been with this kid like going on 11 years of watching him just destroy everybody on the stand-up, guys that are much better stand-up than him, and he still destroys them. So no. Don't go by what you see. When you get in there with that man, it's a whole different ballgame.
That's the breakdown. Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena. A clash of styles with legacy and momentum on the line. From legends like Dan Hardy and Kamaru Usman to coaches like Javier Mendez, the fight has everyone talking. And the opinions are split. Will Islam's suffocating game rise to the challenge at welterweight? Or can JDM's boxing power shock the world? Let us know in the comments who you think comes out on top. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our fight breakdowns, interviews, and analysis. This is Octagon HQ, your home for everything MMA.